Oh, it's time. Okay, yeah, no. So go ahead and tell her. Yeah. Yep, I know. She's running the clock. Ready? The City Community Redevelopment Agency meeting is called to order. We're going to have our invocation, and Board Member Hurtak will introduce our guest, Ms. Parrish.
Thank you. Angela Parrish is an ordained member of the International Buddhist Order of Inner Being and is the Director of Programs with the Florida Community of Mindfulness in Seminole Heights. She has been a practitioner of Buddhism and mindfulness for over 25 years and leads retreats, classes, and other programs at the Florida Community of Mindfulness. If we could please stand and then stay standing for the pledge.
Thank you, Councilwoman. In our Buddhist tradition at the Florida Community of Mindfulness, we actually start our meetings with a bell and just a few moments of silence. So we'll do that. And taking a moment before we begin to just let your mind relax. We may have all entered this room with ideas, agendas. Now's an opportunity to relax the mind, calm the mind and body, come back to the breath, kind of let go of our agendas, remember why we're here. And then we recite this verse to remind ourselves of our aspirations for serving our community in a wise and harmonious way, and to remember our intentions to be respectful and open to the views of others. We vow to go through this meeting in a spirit of togetherness, as we review all ideas and consolidate them to a harmonious understanding and consensus. We vow to use the methods of kind speech and deep listening in order to bring about the success of this meeting, in order to serve Tampa citizens and improve the quality of life in our community. We vow not to hesitate to share our ideas and insights, but also vow not to say anything when the feeling of irritation is present in us. We are resolutely determined not to allow tension to build up in this meeting. If any one of us senses the start of tension, we will stop immediately and take care of our agitation right away so as to reestablish the atmosphere of togetherness and harmony in the council. May we fulfill the important responsibilities entrusted in us to benefit the citizens of our Tampa Bay community and all beings. Thank you.
And now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before roll call, Councilman Vieira is running a little late and he will be here shortly. And also, please enter into the record and be advised that Councilman Carlson has sent a memo indicating that he will not be able to attend the CRA meeting as well as the evening meeting today. Clerk Soto, can we have a roll call, please?
Carlson. Hurtak. Here. Clendenin.
here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
Vieira. Miranda. Anderson.
Present.
We have a physical quorum.
Okay.
Before,
So we're going to need
Yeah,
approval of the minutes, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Move to approve the minutes
Yep.
from April 13th, 2023.
Okay, we have a motion from Maniscalco to approve the minutes and seconded by Mr. Miranda. Do I have all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. Agenda item is approved.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, and good morning. It's great to see you as a new board. So welcome. I look forward to working with you as the new redevelopment agency. For your agenda, we have a couple items. Item number 5, there's a request for this item to be continued until September 14th, 2023.
Move to continue.
Okay, there's been a motion to move to continue, seconded by Miranda. All those in favor? Opposed?
And then, Madam Chair, we have the request for a walk-on. The memorandum was provided to you by CRA Manager Cedric McCray.
Yes.
This item is for a resolution approving the East Tampa CRA Restaurant and Food Services Grant Agreement to be placed under the required approvals.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the walk-on item? Second, is there a second? Miranda, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay,
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes the changes to the agenda.
okay, thank you.
Move to approve the agenda?
And yes, thank you. There's a motion to move to approve the agenda, seconded by Miranda. All those in favor? Thank you so much. There's a motion by Hurtak to approve, seconded by Maniscalco. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. And now it is time for public comment. We will ask all those for public comment to come to the podium, and speak your name and the agenda item you're discussing.
Good morning. My name is Sally Yassi Lee, and I'm with the Volunteer Missionary Society Penny Fund. And I would like to read you from the Women's Prayers and Promises. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord, there is freedom. We have freedom now because Christ made us free. So stand strong. Do not change and go back into the slavery of the law. And I would just like to read you some of my meetings about my the celebration for the Mayor Castor and councilmen and the new women also welcome to the board. And I walked from the convention center to Marion Transit City. I was very excited. And also I attended the Masjid Nasir with Brother Richard and Brother Jarvis. They have a program, returning citizens jobs. They doing summer youth camp, and they have a food pantry. And all you have to do is call Brother Jarvis, and he'll tell you what their programs are. And this was my birthday celebration. Thank God for everything and everybody. Let not hate go towards the school board and hearings on just. God is not pleased. So do not close just. God is not pleased. Thank you very much for my time here. And I had a wonderful time during my birthday, just reminiscing, and I talked to everybody in the convention, and it was just a good, glorious time. Now, I am waiting on Sister Janelle McGregor to answer my call from Chief Bennett. Thank you very much, Sally Lee, and God bless you all. And I hope we can communicate and not hate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment, please.
Good morning, Connie Burton. One of my best folk groups is Sweet Honey in the Rock. Freedom, fighting for justice, and one of the verses says, until the work is done, not to give up and not to be deterred. But as we continue to express our desires for what we want in East Tampa, and I believe you can do more than one thing at one time, it becomes almost disheartening but hopeful to see how some CRAs, and I'm talking about items 6, 7, and 8, has a vision for their community and a need for their community to provide the necessary amenities. But when we are requesting the saving of lives of young people in our community by increasing job opportunity, it can't get on this agenda. It can't even be talked about because of the determination of all of the roadblocks that say why it can't happen. CRA has this amount of money, we have this amount of killing, we have these amount of injustices in our community, and when we say we would like to provide hope, it can't go nowhere. That's a problem. In your resolution that you adopted 2 years ago, you said, whereas to heal and not to divide, the city council of the city of Tampa seek to redress the harm of those who came before us and the injustice that continue to surround us, so that we do what we can to make the city of Tampa and its institutions and communities more just and equitable for future generations. When will that start? How do we continue to have the same conversation about affordable housing, opportunities, jobs? How do we have that? And yet we have agendas that will not address it. So I'll read it, but I don't believe you had any confidence when you wrote it or you signed it. Because if you did, it will reflect on the needs of our communities. Amenities are fine, but the saving of our young people's lives is greater than all amenities that could be walked on this agenda today. Thank you.
Next public comment, please.
Mentesnot, I want to say Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. We say we as African people should always be thinking about our freedom. And we as African people should never step down to the levels we've been to in the last 623 years. It's been a consistent violations of everything about humanity, about African people. White people, Europeans, North Americans, white people have treated us like dirt, treated us like animals. And when I say animals, I don't mean in the good way, the way white people treat animals. I mean in the way they do anything to animals. When they spray the crops, when they put Agent Orange and DDT on them. White people have treated us bad, like really bad. Have put in their constitution that we were 3/5 of a human being. That nasty. The white people talking about some gifts that Clarence Thomas got. The white folks is talking about some gifts that Clarence Thomas got. No, let the seeds, the crackers talk about when the white man said in the Dred Scott decision that where no black person is deserving of no rights, have no rights, a white man is bound to respect. Let them talk about that. Don't talk about no gift Clarence Thomas got. We know what Clarence Thomas stands for. Let's talk about what the white man said the Chief Supreme Court Justice said in 1857 that scarred African people eternally. Let's talk about when George Washington and them other white folks put in their constitution that we were 3/5 of a human being. Let's talk about that. That's what the white folks is working with. And what we have to work with is reparations. White folks owe us $623 trillion in reparations. And that's just the Africans here in America. And this city owes us trillions of dollars in reparations. So black people need to stop all that begging nonsense. Begging for a school, for a speed bump, for a roundabout. We need to put this city and this city council to task and let them know that they owe us reparations. See what's going on in California and Washington State and other places. white folks owe us money, they owe us reparations so we can build our own economy, our own social structures, our own systems, and stop just accepting this abuse and keep begging. This city council owe us money and we need it. And what they're doing is they continuing to, when you speak out against it, they putting the police, the FBI, and everybody else on you.
Thank you. Next public comment, please.
Good morning. My name is Noreen Copeland Miller, and I am a CAC member for the East Tampa CRA, or the partnership. And I'm glad to be able to be here this morning for the first CRA meeting for this new group of folks. Some of you are returning, some of you are new. And I'm just excited to be here, and I know that you have plans for the East Tampa community, but I'm going to narrow it down and talk about Bama Heights. But first, I need to read from Proverbs, because I truly believe that trust in the Lord in all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And I know that he's made my path straight and directed my steps, and I'm going to speak to item 3 and item 4 about Memorial Park Cemetery. And I want to thank Ms. Nicole Travis for all of her hard work that she put in her staff for making sure that this issue was resolved. And I'm excited that it happened less than 6 months, that at least we're in the motion, and for your support as well in this issue. And hoping that it never, ever happens again in this city at all, to any cemetery. That we pay attention to what's going on in the urban core, because we know it is changing. And it's certainly not designed for folks like myself, but I'm going to be here. And I've enjoyed coming down here so much, I think I'm going to put it on my calendar every Thursday when you all are meeting, because I really have gotten accustomed to seeing your smiling faces, and it's been a pleasure. I'm just also paying attention to what's going on in my city that I was born and raised in. And we're being forgotten because we are not being good stewards of our own history. And I plan to do better, and I think a lot of other folks are. Because what has happened at Memorial Park Cemetery has really opened up eyes to a lot of people. I was there on yesterday, and I see the cemetery folks are coming out, cleaning up their family graves. They're putting flowers there. We have receptacles in there that we haven't had in that cemetery in years to put garbage in. So I know this is a good thing, and I really want to thank the staff for what they've done. And I know that we're going to put a fence on MLK. We're going to put a fence on 26. We're going to put a gate so we can be treated like all the other cemeteries with the operation of ours, with some good signage so they know that. But it's a lot of rich history in Memorial Park Cemetery in the Bama Heights area where I live. And we need to, and I'm going to make sure I continue to say Bama Heights. It's not all East Tampa, that's a broad demographics, but Bama Heights Memorial Park Cemetery, as well as Jackson Heights. We got to remember the heights, because we're celebrating heights everywhere, but we're forgetting about the heights in that part of the city. But I want you all to know that we're excited, we're not angry, we're not mad, we're not confused. Our CRA know what we need in our community, not what the city think we need, but our needs for public safety is real. Sidewalks is real, jobs is real, and housing is real. So I want you all to do, and I'm going to be excited working with each of you to make sure that our community come back from the past, because we have been left behind. As we can very well see, all the CRAs are thriving, but we are not. So I'm looking forward to you all making that a change this year in East Tampa, some simplistic stuff that can be done, cleaning up the retention ponds and that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you for listening.
Are there any other public comments in the building? Okay, we have one remote public comment.
Good morning. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. One of the most important tools that we can use to reduce gentrification intentionally and by design is the CRA. I took part in the most recent national discussion on changing the CRA to make it more race inclusive. For those board members that are not familiar with me, let me give you a little information. So I have over 30 years in community development and economic development nationally. As a matter of fact, I was asked to speak at USF twice to the grad student, the University of Baltimore, and Johns Hopkins University to talk about community development. The West Tampa CDC is part of the first community benefit in the city, and our deliverables to the community was the Technology, Wealth Building, and Job Creation Center. However, this is not our first public-private relationship. In fact, the first one started with Pam IO administration, in which she sent directors to developers to work with the West Tampa CDC. Out of that was an employment center, as well as $650,000 in payments to low-income bodies to buy a house. Each say the bubble bust and this deal didn't go through. We reduced gentrification intentionally and by design. And here is how we measure success. Increase in living wages, increase in generational wealth by creating community businesses, and increase in public safety. Under our policy, no one is left behind from the poor to the rich. We believe that in creating changes, we do it within, and we do not depend on the government agenda. Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our public comments. Ms. Nicole Travis, the CRA Director, please introduce each person presenting their staff reports on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, we have the West Tampa CAC Chair, Carlos Ramirez. He provided a verbal report outlining activities in the West Tampa CAC. So, Mr. Ramirez, there you go. Thank you. Good to see you here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, CRA Board. First of all, congratulations on your elections and re-elections. Congratulations, Chair Henderson, on the CRA Board. And I also want to thank the past chairperson, Councilwoman Hertag, for always coming to us and talking to us and being open and collaborative. So I appreciate all that. Thank you. I'm going to give this morning an update on what's going on with the West Tampa CRA. We are hard at work trying to raise our community, all aspects of our community. So let me just start with the parks that we're working on right now. Can you guys hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Ray Park is the first park that we're going to be doing. We have $1.8 million set aside to renovate that park. We had the agreement earlier this year, this month. So we are looking to bring that up to its former glory, change the fencing, looking at the inside of the park as well to make sure that we have room for the kids and activities for after school as well. So we are working closely with Parks and Rec and the staff there to make sure that everything is incorporated. Moving down the street, Salsinas Park there at the corner, we have $1 million set aside for this design and construction project. That agreement was signed in April of this year. That is a small park, but it's a very important park. It's kind of one of the gateway parks into our community, so we are doing a lot of really neat stuff there. I'm excited about the changes. I hope you will be too. Moving down Main Street, there's another park there. We just purchased Freedom Park. Used to be owned by Mr. Redner. We purchased that back in June of last year. So right now we are going through the remediation because it was contaminated, but that's about to finish soon. So we are going to make sure that we get with the community and put that to good use, and it should be a public space for all of us to use. And then the last park we're discussing today is Fremont Linear Park. I don't know if many of you have gone to Fremont. It's a very long park, and there are some streets that are kind of cut off for the park. So we are talking with the city, the different departments to see if we want to open up the streets again and kind of reconfigure that park so it's a better use, and of course add all the lighting, safety features, and things like that. But those discussions are just starting out now. Coming back to Main Street, we currently have a clean team right now on Main Street that goes out and cleans. It was three days a week. We want to move it to 5 days a week just because there is a big need for cleanups there. William Landscape Management has been doing a great job. They're going above and beyond what they were scoped for, so we are very happy with We are also doing a parking study right now, on both sides of the interstate, north and south of 275. We are kind of coming to the end. We had our first meeting with the whole CAC. I've been kind of the liaison with the consulting team. And we had a lot of discussion, a lot of good discussion, and a lot of good advice that we gave the consultant to move forward with that project. So we're looking to finish that out, and they should present to you at the end of summer, July or August. We also are planning an all West Tampa CRA alley cleanup. So we've been doing the cleanups for the alleys for a long time. We started this many years ago, and it's just been a great way. A lot of times, the education is the most important part, because we go and we tell the property owners that, you know, they're responsible for their half of the alley. A lot of times people don't know that, or we find people who are elderly or unable to clean their alleys, and we're able to just kind of clean it and give them a fresh start, so it's a little bit easier for them. What we are planning on now is doing it for the whole CRA at once. Instead of piecemeal like we were doing it before, we're going to do it all, and we're going to kind of tie it into sweep as well to make sure that we have a united front there. We also have, speaking of the alleys, a West Tampa Alleyway Action Plan study. So this kind of stemmed from our West Tampa overlay changes that we did, where we changed the driveways for the homes from the street to the alleyway in order to make it safer for pedestrians. And in doing that, we found that there was not like a one fix for all. So we started talking with the city and looking at the different alleyways and what uses could be used. For example, if we have an alleyway that is all new homes and they already have driveways in the front, then using that alley for access to the home may not make sense, or in a commercial district. So we are kind of looking at each alley, defining some of the definitions that are in the code, and then seeing what would fit best use for that particular alley. So we're very excited about that one. I think alleys are kind of a secret tool that we have in our toolbox, and I think we can utilize that in a much more positive and effective way. Some of the programs that we're also working on, we're working on a down payment assistance program right now. We hope to have this done later this summer. We have a residential grant program. The first one was in my neighborhood of North Hyde Park. We're very happy about this program. It helps people who are in the neighborhood, who are homeowners, to be able to improve their property and therefore keeping them in the neighborhood. West Tampa is all about doing good for everybody that's in there and making sure that everybody rises together. We also have a West Tampa, we just had our Unity Festival. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate that. That was this past weekend on Sunday. We had a lot of different people come through. We were able to share a lot of information. Our marketing products were out there, our sheets to let the community know the different programs that we have, all the different monies that can go to improve the area. And then, of course, our subcommittees. We have 6 subcommittees right now. We have infrastructure. We have our safety subcommittee, which is very popular. We have a housing subcommittee, special events, who's the one who coordinated the special event that we just did. We have an art and culture, and we have an economic development subcommittee. All our committees meet in person. We have to have a quorum before we can start, and we've been meeting at the building on North Boulevard. Lastly, some highlights on a few other things that we have. We are talking about revitalizing Main Street, which we want to do like a whole project where we just do from Armenia all the way to either Albany or Fremont, where we do the whole road, sidewalks, everything to kind of freshen it up and kind of incentivize people coming into Main Street and revitalizing some of those beautiful buildings that we have there right now. We're also working with TPD through our safety subcommittee. They recently just did a sting that resulted in the arrest of several drug dealers in the area, so we're doing efforts to clean up the area. We also are tied in with the city on several of their projects. We are tied. We have a liaison for the Relator project there at Rome Yard, for the West Riverwalk, and also for all the expansion that's going on in the area as well. So we always have somebody from our committee in those programs to make sure that the community is heard. I believe that is everything. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, Mr. Mansell.
Board Member Hurtak.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. That was a really thorough report. I'm grateful for it. But I really just want to highlight something that I'm very passionate about, which is the alleys.
Yes.
Very excited to see how this goes with your, I love hearing about that. So is the community going to be the ones reaching out and doing the work in the alleys? Are you planning to do it like all in one day, or is it going to be like a week-long thing?
So the alleys, we're kind of planning that now. We want to have a couple of meetings to kind of see how everything is going to go. With the alleys, a lot of times it's very difficult for the community to go out there and do the alleys because we have trees growing or vegetation that's just too thick for us to get into. We've been finding some dangerous items in the alleys as well, or large pieces of furniture, things like that. So we might leave that for the pros to handle, and then the community would take the street side.
Okay.
So we would kind of combine it with a cleanup as well.
Well, I just love the way that you all are looking at alleys because they really are a hidden treasure. They
Definitely.
belong to the citizens. And in fact, we just walked our dog in an alley today in Seminole Heights. And it's just like a nice little spot that you can, that many other things besides cars can use. So
Definitely.
I just really appreciate that. And I look forward to finding out what your study has to say and how we can expand that to the rest of the city. So I appreciate your effort and applaud it in that area. And thank you again also for all the work you're doing with safety and with the parks. Very excited to see those plans come to fruition.
Thank you. Yeah, if you guys have an opportunity to go down the alleys in West Tampa, you'll see that they're not all abandoned. A lot of time people have back fences, they go take their walks through the alleyway. A lot of them are drivable, so people do utilize them to pull into the back of the property.
Board Member Maniscalco.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Great event on Sunday. I was there early on. It was a beautiful day at a beautiful location.
It was.
But I had a question. You had mentioned Main Street and the revitalization, and I know where it was the Barbecue King building and next door that red brick building, the 2-story. Just for my own knowledge, if you notice that a ghost sign has been made visible, they took off something from the side of the building and you can see the painted sign that was underneath. Do you know any history on that building or what that used to be?
I do not, but I can get, let me get in contact with the owners. They've been very involved. Cohatch has been very involved with the CAC. They've been coming to all our meetings. So we've kind of developed a relationship. Let me reach out to them and see if they know anything.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Board Member Klein-Dendon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for a very comprehensive report. I echo Chairman Maniscalco said on the Sunday, the Unity event, and I hope to see you continue that event, bringing all the city's services together like that. I think is important to the community. People can look at the outreach that the city's doing and some of the hand up and that they have for the community. So thank you so much for doing that. And again, I'm also, one of the things that I want to do over my next 4 years on council is to protect those alleyways and really revitalize alleyways that maybe we thought were abandoned but actually aren't. And so I think it's an important element in our inner core, in our city, our urban core, and I thank you for pursuing that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion on the item, please? You don't have to do a motion on that one. You just go to the next one.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you.
I'm too excited. Okay. After each one. You don't have to do that, is that?
Good morning again. So I'm here for the director's monthly report, and I have a few items to go over with you. Most of you have met Erica Moody, who would be the next CRA director. We'll get her an opportunity to meet the new board members, but she has accepted the position and will be starting with us on May 30th. That start date is really important. Most of you know how long we've been without a CRA director for more than a year now. And it's important that she's coming into this position right before our June 8th workshop. So she'll be able to see all the sausage making of the workshop. And so just a little bit about the CRA workshop, just as a reminder, we don't have a regular scheduled CRA meeting on June 8th. It is a workshop. Will be held at the River Center, Julian B. Lane River Center. We'll be starting promptly at 9 a.m. And you can expect on that day that we will go until 3:30. We'll have a working lunch. Lunch will be provided. We'll work through that session. There have been key issues that were raised by the board, staff, and stakeholders, and things that we've kind of been putting a pin in to address at the workshop. One of those are outlining the goals, overall goals for the agency, covering administrative modifications and how we administer grant programs to be a little more efficient so that the staff time is utilized in actually doing the work of the redevelopment agency and making projects happen. We're going to go over specific programming elements. We've allocated 30% of our budgets towards housing programs. There are a series of workshops that are coming up with each of the CACs. And so we'll talk through some of the programming. And then governance and policy is a big one, and we expect to spend a little bit of time, a lot of time really, to work through some of the governance and policy decisions. And then Board Member Carlson asked, I don't remember if it was at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, to set aside time in the workshop to talk about sunsetting some of the CRAs. And so we'll have time allocated for that. And then the one thing that I wanted to put on your radar, there is going to be some time set aside in that workshop. If there are any burning issues or things that you want staff to work on, do some research on, you'll have an opportunity to list those items at the workshop. So I just wanted to put a pin or to just put that out there for you to start thinking about that. If there's anything that we haven't covered, things that are pressing and important to you that you would like us to work on, we'll have time at the workshop to discuss that. So just giving you like a little bit of homework before the June 8th workshop to think about those items. We've spent a lot of time preparing for your workshop to make sure that the time is well spent, to make sure that we're efficient, and also to kind of take you out of the weeds and raise some of the governance and policy decision-making as a redevelopment agency that you should be making. We anticipate that we need a second workshop to kind of work through some of, there'll be takeaways from the first workshop. Staff will be working on that for the next 60 days, and we're proposing a second workshop on August 10th. So we'll have a regular session in July, and then another workshop item to kind of close out some of this work that we're doing. All of this has been a part to kind of move the agency. There's been a lot of comments from your constituents, from the CRA, the CACs, of things are not just getting done. And a lot of it is through inefficiency, how we're using our time, how we're leveraging resources, what are the programs doing, are the programs really meeting the needs of the CRA districts? And so these two workshops will help us get to where we need to go. So if you are amenable, I'd like for you to consider canceling the regular August meeting and replacing that with a workshop meeting on August 10th, please.
Okay, there is a motion to move the meeting by Councilmember Hurtak, second by Alan Clendenden, member. Is there, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And so that concludes my homework assignments for the workshop and in preparation. And I'm going to put something on the overhead for you to, can you tell me if you?
We can see it.
You can see it? Okay.
Yeah. It's a little crooked.
It is crooked. How's that?
Yes.
All right. So in February, during the February meeting, we talked about restructuring the department as a whole. We talked about staffing needs. We talked about how we could be more efficient and really bringing together the work or getting the work done that needs to happen. One of the things that takes the most of staff time is what's before you. are really staffing the CAC and the subcommittee meetings. From an administrative function, we cannot continue to support our subcommittees. We just can't. You're talking about publicly noticing the meeting staff, going to all those meetings, minutes happening, and if I'm being completely transparent with you, subcommittees probably likely evolved because of things that were not happening at the staff level. This has been in place probably over a decade of time, long before any of us and those in the room with staff has been working. But it's a function of something that was not really working. We've been pushing the pace with our CRA managers. They've been working with the economic development specialists, and in order for me to get them to do the work that we need to happen in the districts, we cannot continue to staff the subcommittees. And so I'll be sending out a memo to all of the CAC chairs and the CACs themselves, to the staff, that indefinitely we'll be canceling the support of our subcommittee meetings. That's over 168 meetings a year, and that time needs to be moved forward, going forward, to do the work of the CACs. The CACs will continue to meet. Those subcommittees really need to be doing that work at the CAC level and giving the information back to staff, for staff to do more research and development of programs and projects, and bringing that back into the CAC. So I'm saying that publicly today, and that the memo will follow this afternoon, that we are indefinitely canceling our subcommittee meetings and will not be staffing them any further. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Is that effective immediately, Ms. Travis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any questions? No?
Questions? Yes. Okay.
All right. That concludes the director's report.
Quickly before we move on, the clerk has brought to my attention that actually you don't have a meeting scheduled for August 10th. Your CRA regular scheduled meeting
Oh, sorry,
is
the
August
17th.
17th.
Okay.
So what we need to do is go back
Right to-
and cancel your regular meeting for CRA meeting for August 17th, and then schedule a workshop instead for August 17th.
So moved. I motion that we cancel the August 17th meeting and instead make it a CRA workshop.
Okay, there is a motion by Councilmember Hurtak, second by Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you for that. I would have been the only one showing up on August 10th. So that concludes my director's report. If there are no questions for me, I'd like to move on to the next items, if that's okay with you?
Yep.
Okay. The next two items are related to the Memorial Park Cemetery. It's pretty much moot at this point, because you know that there is a contract in place, and we're scheduled for closing on May 22nd, or we're hoping to close on May 22nd. That would be a little more than 15 days after the contract has been executed. There's been some conversation or comments, and Ms. Noreen made some comments this morning about a fence going around. We do have money allocated in the budget to be able to do that. I mentioned to you that there's been a design for the fence, and we're working through our procurement process to be able to expeditiously work on this fence together. So other than that, unless there are specific questions about the cemetery, I would say that these items have been resolved as a part of the contract, and I would like to move forward unless you have any other questions or
Councilmember
comments.
Hurtak.
I just want to say thank you again for your work, and the community is so appreciative of you and your staff being able to get this done. Not only that, but just the forward thinking of preparing for the fence and making sure that all happens as quickly as possible. It was so nice to hear from Ms. Copeland Miller this morning that people are tending to that cemetery and really, have the family members are coming out and showing interest. And I'm really glad that we as a city are going to be showing that interest and level of just improving it. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say.
Thank you. I want to thank my right-hand man, Attorney Massey, that we were in this together, and so just want to thank him.
Thank you, Mr. Massey.
Councilmember Clandon.
I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that I was in communication with the president of the City of Tampa Firefighter Union, and their local would like to assist in helping clean up and help maintain the cemetery. So if you could reach out to them and incorporate them into your plans, they'd volunteer workforce for you.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll do that.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Okay, perfect. We have, Elise, are you talking to the next one? 6, 7, 8. No. So, items 6, 7, and 8, you have some memos provided to you by CRA Manager Courtney Orr, and Mr. Drumgo is going to talk you through those items. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Board. For the record, Deputy Administrator Elise Drumgo. For item number 6, staff was asked to appear and provide a report on the feasibility of CRA funding going to the Martín Maceo Social Club in Ybor, and to discuss the extent at which the CRA can assist. And so staff has done that. Again, CRA Manager Courtney Orr provided the memorandum for the file. She actually met with Ms. Sharon Gomez of the Social Club and explained processes, and then also provided grants that are available for between both the CRA and the county as well to help with the preservation of that facility. So we requested that Ms. Gomez provide the grant documents back to us and follow up with staff. And so, at this juncture, we think that we can handle this within the regular business aspect of administering grants, and so staff is seeking to close this item out.
Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your work, Mr. Drumgo, on this. I appreciate it. And for members of the public that may be unaware of the Martín Maceo Social Club, it's a social club that started about 120 years ago when you had the Cuban Club, and the Afro-Cubans were essentially kicked out of the club by the white Cubans who wanted to adopt into the Jim Crow Tampa ways, so to speak. And so Afro-Cubans would begin the Martín Maceo Social Club. Obviously, Jose Marti, General Antonio Maceo, the unification of the both, having a vision of an integrated biracial Cuban-American community here in Tampa. And the club would undergo so very many challenges, including during urban renewal, where it was originally said it would be torn down, moved to its present location. Club just having so many amazing members and people who have done so much for our city. Obviously, one of the top ones being Francisco Rodriguez, who was an amazing individual, Florida NAACP attorney, a United States Marine, a World War II veteran, and who ran for public office and was just an amazing individual. And so the reason I brought this up is if you take a look at, I see Martín Maceo all the time whenever I go to Hart for Hart board meetings, and they're boxed in. And their location where folks can park has essentially been taken away. And I foresee a lot of revenue challenges with them, et cetera. And it's a club that has always been attacked. The unique issue with Martín Maceo that a lot of other maybe traditional social clubs don't have to deal with, which is that the reason I believe that they're here and they continue to be in dire straits is because of a very acute history of racism. And I think that's why we have a real unique duty to help Martín Maceo and to continue to do so. So what I'm going to do is I always have items come back just so that I don't forget about them because I get really, really busy. So what I can do is, if I may, is I'm not going to do it for the other ones. I know also mentioned for the Ybor City Museum is to just have this come back in 6 months just to see where the process is at. It's not going to be for a spoken report or anything like that, just a written report, just to see if they applied. And so I kind of have a self-reminder. And Brandon, if you're watching this, let's set up a meeting with myself and Sharon Gomez on that, if I may. And that's it. And I wanted to thank everyone, all of y'all, Mr. Drumgo, Nicole, obviously Courtney, for all of your hard work with this. And hopefully we can get something, to them, because again, this is a really, really critical issue. And if this social club somehow goes down, because it's been in the paper for years, reported by Paul Guzzo, on the challenges the club has, it would really be a terrible thing for the city of Tampa. So God willing, we don't get that. So the what, I'm sorry? I'll take it November 9th if I may. And again, if I may, again, not for nothing that you all need to work on, et cetera, just a written report, non-appearance, we can have that specifically, on the status of Martín Maceo, and that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Maniscalco.
Thank you very much. And Councilman Vieira said it all, and I thank you for bringing this up. This is a very special place. I have a lot of good memories here going with my grandmother growing up, and a lot of people that through the years they've passed away. The name Maceo, one of his family members passed away not too long ago, maybe a couple years, maybe more, maybe 5-6 years ago. And she was very active there. Her name was Maceo, so she carried on the tradition. It's such an important part of the history of this community in Ybor City, and as Councilmember Vieira mentioned, it's always been, I don't want to say under attack, but it's always something with it. You know, the club struggles to survive with everything changing around it. Urban renewal was mentioned, but it's such an integral part of our history that, you know, I think we should do what we can in order to help protect it and continue to invest in it. Again, because it's so special right here in Ybor City, right around the corner from the Jose Marti Park. So very, very important part of our community. So thank you for bringing this up.
Okay.
So we, just to be clear, there was a request for staff to provide a report in November. Yes, sir. Correct?
Yes.
Status report.
Okay, there is is there a motion to provide a staff report in November? Seconded by who? By Miranda. Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor? Oppose?
Right, next up on the agenda is a similar report for support for the Ybor City History Museum. Manager Courtney Orr provided that memorandum for file as well. And staff did meet with Mr. Holzman and requested that he also apply for grants and provided those specific avenues. And so we're in a similar situation where we're either seeking a motion to close out or just some status update.
Okay. Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for, again, your work in this. I can, and Brandon, if you don't mind, have me meet with the Steve Barbas and Steve Hovsepian on this. And again, I got connected to the Ybor City History Museum with the Salvador Ybor Purple Heart work, and they're really good folks. And Steve Hovsepian is a great guy. I actually interviewed with Steve. I clerked at his law firm, and I interviewed with Steve when I was 24 years old and in law school. So we've known each other for a really long time, Steve Barbas, and it's the Barbas law firm, and good folks. So no, if I may, I can motion to close this out and let the process work itself out.
There's a motion by Councilmember Vieira to close that. Seconded by Charlie Miranda. Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor? Oppose? Okay.
Very good. And then item number 8, it's a similar report back regarding the Cuban Club to see if there's anything the CRA can do to support the club, the structure and the facility. CRA manager Courtney Orr ended up meeting with Mr. Mantega to explain the grant programs and processes. There were some additional items that ended up coming out of the meeting with Mr. Mantega as well, and so CRA manager Courtney Orr and her team are working with other city departments internally to talk through processes and figure out how to be able to meet those needs. Most of those are associated with right-of-way issues, and so she'll continue to work with him on that. However, we did, we're in a similar situation where we're ideally looking to close this out. There's a grant process in place for the Cuban Club to follow.
Councilmember Maniscalco.
Real quick, thank you very much. And again, thank you. Another very important building. I believe the architect was Emilio Elliott, who designed this building and the Italian Club and the Centro Studiano. So very important, well-known individual that has contributed. The Masonic Lodge right here down the street is another one. But an individual that has contributed so much to our community. But again, with these historic buildings, the maintenance is crazy. If you had to rebuild those today, cost prohibitive would be the first thing you would hear, and if you would find somebody to do that kind of work. So again, it's very important that we do what we can to protect our history. Again, Ybor City was a victim, as other parts of the city, of urban renewal. So we have to protect what's there so we can maintain this for future generations and keep our history alive and keep the story of Tampa and of Ybor City going. So thank you very much.
Okay. Is there a motion? Set?
I guess.
You want to close it?
Move to close it.
Okay. There's a motion to close this out by Maniscalco, seconded by Member Vieira. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And then if you would like, I'll take you through the required approvals,
approvals.
starting with item number 9.
Okay.
So it is the Harbor Island Bridge and Lighting redesign. This is in your downtown redevelopment area. It does include the Harbor Island Bridge, and so the CAC motion to move forward with a potential redesign at its May regular meeting, and so staff is seeking approval of $150,000 to plan that redesign.
Move to
So
approve.
moved.
Okay, wow. Okay, there is a motion. Who made it? By Councilmember Maniscalco, seconded by Councilmember Hurtak. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the West Tampa Community Redevelopment Area Alleyway Cleaning and Clearing Project. Staff is seeking approval to move forward with, in conjunction with the purchasing department, to issue an invitation to bid to hire a contractor to provide the cleaning and clearance of public alleyways within the CRA.
Okay.
Fiscal impact, $100,000.
Moved by Councilmember Hurtak, second by Councilmember Maniscalco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. Item number 11 is a request to add funding to the West Tampa Clean Team, and I just want to touch on this a little bit because several of you were in attendance at a public meeting that occurred in West Tampa, and staff heard it loud and clear, and we're still working to build out an action plan. But in response to that, we've increased the level of service to ensure that the public spaces are a lot cleaner. Because
Move to approve.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a motion to approve by Councilmember Maniscalco, second by Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Item number 12 is 7th Avenue Archway lighting replacement. This was an active project. We needed a few more dollars to do it, so we were looking to reprogram $23,000 from existing improvement line items into this project to close it out.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Miranda, second by Councilmember Maniscalco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next item up is a facade grant not to exceed $50,000 for 1902 North Howard Avenue at the old McFarland Building. The contribution on the private side is approximately $73,000. It represents almost 1.5 to 1 private to public
So
investment.
Okay. A motion to approve by Councilmember Hurtak, second by Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor?
Aye. Ma'am?
Okay, yes.
just
There's a discussion on this?
Yes, ma'am, just a quick comment. I see it's the McFarland Building, and again, in preserving our history, which we've been doing a lot today between Memorial Cemetery, Ybor City. The name McFarland is of course, Hugh McFarland, the father of West Tampa. It's the namesake of McFarland Park and so much, so much importance to the community, but glad to see that. I know which building this is. I'm glad to see that we're making the investment to, again, help improve and protect this, so glad to support it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so don't we need
Thank
a
you.
motion? Did we finish that
We
motion?
didn't.
We did not finish it.
Yeah, we did vote.
We did? Okay, good. Okay, proceed.
All right, and so the next item on the agenda it's actually something that came before the board last month. It's the resolution, and this is a revision to the funding agreement for the Tampa Theater. $14 million was originally approved. We needed to update the scope of work on the project, and so we're just bringing it back
Are
before
there
you.
any comments first? Councilmember Miranda.
I just want to say that I'm sitting in the same chair that I'm in today, way back in 1975 or 76, I forget which, the council members I'm sure would pass this resolution to buy that portion of the theater for $90,000. And it passed on a 4-3 vote, and I just saying that I was one of the 4, not bragging or anything.
Councilmember Maniscalco.
I think Councilmember Miranda deserves credit for being here and being one of those votes to save this building. I think your members were Copeland and Duncan and I don't know.
I'm not going to vote, I'm just saying how it went.
But This is another, this is another one of Tampa's gems, and investing in protecting the Tampa Theater. I mean, walk in there, everybody knows. You see the importance of it to the community, the marquee outside that says Tampa, that's a logo that's recognized far and wide, so glad to support this.
Okay. All right, is there a motion for item number 14 now?
So moved. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's a motion by Councilmember Maniscalco, second by Councilmember Clandendon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The last item is your walk-on. It is requesting approval of an East Tampa CRA Restaurant and Food Services grant.
Can he finish saying what he want to say first, so that, for my sake, go ahead and
Of course.
explain
Yes.
the motion for CRA of East Tampa.
Yes, and so the private investment on this project is approximately $68,750. The project will be located at 3222 North 34th Street. This is a conversion of an existing, part of it is a church facility and converting that into an actual restaurant. The owner equity in this project is $196,000. It represents a 3-to-1 private investment to public dollars.
Okay, any comments on this? Councilmember Hurtak.
Thank you. And I am excited to see this. The Open Cafe is a really important part of East Tampa, and it being closed was definitely hindered the connection of the community. So I'm thrilled about this. So I'm really glad you were able to make it a walk-on, and we can get started on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, can I have a motion
So
now?
moved.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor? Councilmember Maniscalco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'm going to hand the gavel over to you. We are going on to new business. Okay. In an effort to streamline the CRA meetings, I make a motion that all items listed on the CRA agenda as required approvals also be identified by the clerk, CRA secretary, as consent agenda items on the CRA agenda, and allow the approval of those items by a single motion approved by the CRA board instead of by separate motions and votes on each item.
Second.
In the future, if the CRA board member wants to discuss or have a specific vote on one of the required approvals or CRA agenda, he or she can request that item be pulled for discussion and a separate vote when the CRA board reviews and approves the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. There's a motion by Councilmember Maniscalco.
Oh, you made the motion.
No, it's my motion, and you so moved it.
And there's a motion by Chairwoman Henderson,
Yes.
seconded, I believe, first by Councilman Maniscalco.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. All right. Excuse me. Are there any other comments or new business by council members?
Go down the line.
Thank you, Ms. Hurtak. I appreciate that.
None.
Councilmember Miranda.
None.
Councilmember Maniscalco.
Yes, ma'am, I have a few items. So I'd like to make a motion for the July 20th CRA meeting, and this would just be a report. And this is a couple of motions regarding stormwater ponds in East Tampa. So let's see, I would like a report on July 20th. It can be a written report, which would be fine, at the CRA meeting regarding conceptual designs for the stormwater ponds in East Tampa. I know that there should be about 7 of them, and I can specify with the staff, but at least 5 of the 7 East Tampa stormwater ponds, if we have conceptual designs where we are with that process, and how we can strengthen these stormwater ponds with native trees and plants that will help reduce and improve the water quality. And also, as part of the report, the inclusion of green infrastructure principles in Tampa's stormwater design manual for any future stormwater ponds, just to see what we're doing, if we have any plans in the works, if we have anything that's being included and added into that design manual, and that would be for July 20th, and I can give the motion to the clerk.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilmember Maniscalco, second by Councilmember Vieira. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then 2 quick items. I'd like to wish Tanya over here at the front desk here in our office a happy belated birthday. It was May 9th. Happy birthday to her. And also, who he is not here with us, but Councilmember Carlson, an early happy birthday, which is May 13th. That's it. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Vieira.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have one quick motion, if I may. You know, we've been talking some about grocery stores in blighted areas and in food deserts in the city of Tampa, and I think CRA would be a good place to have like a formal discussion on this, to place this now, and we can. So I'll take a look at how I'm going to make this motion, which is I would move, and what are we in? We're in May. We're in May. So I'll have it come back, if I may, in October, and if staff needs more time, please, let's do that. To have a plan of action, and this will be the formal motion, to have a plan of action on feasibility, on the CRA, looking at the areas where there are known food deserts, including East Tampa, and I can make a motion in City Council for Sulphur Springs to also be included in that, which is not under our CRA, to look at existing and proposed and future developments that could include grocery stores within these areas. I think that's something that's very, very important. We have parts in our city of Tampa where there are no near grocery stores. Where I live, I think there's 7 grocery stores within 15 minutes of me. And I think it's terrible that in certain parts of the city of Tampa, we don't have that. And I think in our CRA, we can use our dollars, either through incentive dollars or otherwise, to help do this. And again, I move this for purposes of feasibility. The means to getting there, we'll see how we do it. But I think whether or not we have a development with a grocer coming into this area, whatever the area may be, whether it's Sulphur Springs in the city council, or whether it's East Tampa in the CRA, or whether we do it through subsidies, whatever it may be, I just want to get it done because I think it's something that is very, very offensive to local residents, and it's not there. And we've all discussed it. Councilman Goods was obviously very, very passionate about that. He discussed that about a month ago, which I think put on our radar. And I think that we should move forward on this, if I may. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Councilmember Hurtak.
I think that's a great idea. I also think it's something we could talk about in June at our retreat.
Sure, absolutely.
Just, is that not, is that too specific? No. Because I think that we could look at different areas. It's something I would have given to you anyway.
I would ask that under the homework that I gave you, as far as like the burning issues and things that you would like to discuss, add that to one of them. We could do a little legwork and because we know that it'll be a general conversation and then there'll be follow-up. So the motion's good for October to do the feasibility, but maybe we could have a more general discussion at the board retreat to just kind of shape what we'll come back to you in October.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for in terms of just like an overall, because that's one of the things that absolutely, as a CRA, I'm glad you brought that up. So,
Councilmember Maniscalco.
Support it.
And we had a discussion a couple weeks ago that I brought up regarding folks in Hillsborough County that came and gave a presentation regarding city-owned property, and they gave us a list to address the food deserts, because that's something we, especially in East Tampa, like I was saying at that discussion, once you go east of Nebraska, like down Martin Luther King or Hillsborough, let's say use Martin Luther King, everything changes, and you don't see, you stop at that Winn-Dixie there on Nebraska and MLK, but beyond that, the demographics change and you don't have the same amenities. So, the need is there. People, and I'm glad you brought up Sulphur Springs, because that came up a lot through the campaign and how that neighborhood is very much neglected. Food deserts were very prominent there. So I'm happy to support you, and October 12th is the CRA date.
Okay, Councilmember Hurtak.
Just one other thing. I know that food desert is the historic name, but when the presenters were here from the county, they talked about the new terminology nationally being low income, low access. So LILA, if we could use that terminology just I see completely what she means about just looking at it, not creating a visualization of negativity, so.
If I may, Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilmember Vieira.
And I appreciate that, Councilwoman Hurtak. It's very important that we use the most inclusive, sensitive language, so thank you for that. I think that's very important. Yeah, and I think this is something that's very important. I think it's fine to talk about it at our retreat in June. There's a couple of things that are very important to talk about there. This could be one of them, and then have it come back in October. And I'm glad I made the motion. I was able to make the motion. I was at a concert till midnight last night, so I'm kind of really tired. So I got the words out. So there you go. Thank you.
Councilmember Clandenden.
Yes, I'd like to applaud Chairwoman Henderson for her rule changes and looking for creative ways to expedite the business of the city of Tampa. And I would urge her to continue, and fellow council persons to continue to look for ways to streamline the meetings to do the business of the city of Tampa. So again, thank you so much, and I know there's going to be many other ways. And as we look at this with new eyes and a new council and are willing to do the people's work, I know there's a lot of work in front of us, and I know you're going to do a good job with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before the vote, I would just like to say, as we were on the campaign trail, this came up quite a bit, and I am glad that we are having this discussion about moving East Tampa forward and thinking about that at the very first meeting that I am chairing. I just really appreciate that, and you can hear the support, on the dais. And now we can just go ahead and take that motion. There's a motion by Vieira, seconded by Miranda. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any other new business?
That's none of that was new business.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Do we have to make a motion for that? Move to receive and file. That's not in my notes. There's a motion to move and receive the documents. All those in favor? Aye. Wait a minute. I want to do that over. There's a motion by Councilmember Maniscalco, seconded by Councilmember Miranda. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you so much.
10:15
a.m. The meeting is adjourned.
Well done.